The spaceship U's horizon moved slowly through the stars toward a strange new world. Captain Amy Rodriguez stood on the bridge and watched the crystal moon grow larger on the screen. This was their first mission to meet a new alien race called the Etherians. "Jake, are you ready?" Amy asked the young engineer standing beside her. Jake Morrison nodded and checked his tools one more time. He was nervous but excited. This was his first time visiting an alien world. His job was to study their technology and see how it worked. "Remember, we must be respectful," Amy said to her crew. "These people have never met humans before. We want to make friends, not enemies." The ship landed on the crystal surface of the moon. Everything around them glowed with soft blue light. Strange buildings rose from the ground like frozen waterfalls. The air was clean and smelled like flowers. A group of tall, graceful beings came to meet them. They had pale skin that shined like pearls and long silver hair. Their leader was an elderly female who wore flowing robes. "I am High Priestess Zara," she said in perfect English. "Welcome to Etheria. We have learned your language from your radio signals." Amy stepped forward. "Thank you for welcoming us." "I am Captain Amy Rodriguez. We come in peace." "You may explore our city," Zara said, "but there are rules. You must not enter the sacred temple. Our star goddess lives there. No outsider may disturb her divine rest." Jake listened carefully as Amy talked with the priestess about trade and friendship between their peoples. The Etherians seemed kind but fairy, serious about their religion. Everything they did was for their goddess. Later, Jake began his work studying the strange crystal technology that powered their city. The crystals seemed to store and focus light in ways that human science could not explain. As he worked, the lights in the building suddenly went out. "Emergency power failure," Jake said to himself. He grabbed his flashlight and followed the power cables to find the problem. The cables led him through hallways, filled with beautiful artwork, and into areas he had not seen before. Jake found himself in front of a large door covered in glowing symbols. Behind the door, he could hear a strange humming sound. His tools told him the power problem was somewhere inside this room. He did not know this was the Forbidden Temple. Jake pushed open the heavy door and stepped inside. The room was enormous, with walls that seemed to be made of starlight. In the center was a pool of water that glowed like liquid moonlight. Above the pool, floating in the air, was the most beautiful being he had ever seen. She had skin that changed colors like an opal stone, shifting from blue to green to silver. Wings made of pure light spread from her back, and her long hair moved as if she were underwater. She was clearly not human, but she was magnificent. The being opened her eyes and looked down at Jake. He expected her to be angry or frightened, but instead she looked curious. "Who are you?" she asked. Her voice was like music. "I'm Jake Morrison," he said, forgetting to be afraid. "I'm an engineer from Earth. The power went out, and I was trying to fix it." "Are you hurt? You look like you might be stuck up there." The being blinked in surprise. No one had ever asked if she was hurt before. People always fell to their knees and worshipped her. "I am not hurt," she said slowly. "I am Lirale. I live here." "Nice to meet you, Lirale," Jake said with a smile. "This is an amazing place. Did you build it?" "My people built it for me long ago," she said, floating down to stand near the edge of the pool. "They say I am their goddess." Jake looked around at the beautiful temple. "Must be lonely, living in a place like this all by yourself." Lirale had never thought about being lonely before. The priests and priestesses visited her every day to pray and bring offerings. But Jake was right. She was always alone. "Yes," she admitted quietly. "It is very lonely." Jake pulled out his tools and found the broken crystal that was causing the power failure. Mind if I fix this? It'll just take a minute. You wish to help me? Lirelei asked in wonder. Sure, why not? Jake said as he worked. Everyone needs help sometimes. As Jake repaired the crystal, Lirelei watched him carefully. He was different from her people. He did not bow or pray or call her Divine One. He just talked to her like she was a normal person. There we go, Jake said as the lights came back on. All fixed. Thank you, Lirelei said. You are very kind. No problem, Jake replied. I should probably get back before Captain Rodriguez sends a search party. He started to leave, then turned back. Hey, if you ever want to talk to someone, I'll be working around the city for the next few weeks. I know what it's like to feel lonely sometimes. After Jake left, Lirelei sat by her pool and thought about their conversation. For the first time in her very long life, someone had treated her like a person instead of a goddess. It felt wonderful and strange, and a little scary. She found herself hoping the human engineer would come back soon. 3 days passed before Jake saw Lirelei again. He was working on a crystal power grid when he felt someone watching him. He looked up to see her standing nearby, trying to hide behind a pillar. Hi there, Jake said with a friendly wave. How are you doing? Lirelei stepped out from behind the pillar. She looked nervous. I am well. I was wondering what you said about talking. Did you mean it? Of course I meant it, Jake said, putting down his tools. Want to sit and chat for a while? They found a quiet spot in a garden filled with plants that glowed like tiny stars. Lirelei had never sat and talked with someone like this before. It felt strange, but nice. Tell me about your world, she said. What is Earth like? Jake's face lit up as he described blue oceans, green forests, and busy cities full of people. He told her about rain and snow, about pets and families, about movies and music, and all the things humans did for fun. People choose their own jobs? Lirelei asked in amazement. They can travel anywhere they want? Sure, Jake said. Freedom to choose is very important to humans. Don't you have choices here? Lirelei shook her head sadly. I am the star goddess. My people believe I was born to guide them and protect them. I must stay in my temple and receive their prayers. That is my purpose. That sounds really hard, Jake said gently. What would you choose to do if you could do anything? No one had ever asked Lirelei what she wanted before. She thought about it for a long time. I would like to see the stars up close, she said finally. I would like to learn about other worlds and other people. I would like to have friends. You have a friend now, Jake said with a smile. If you want one. Lirelei felt something warm and happy grow in her chest. I would like that very much. From that day on, Jake and Lirelei met in secret every few days. Jake would finish his work early and find quiet places where they could talk without being seen. He taught her human words and told her jokes that made her laugh for the first time in centuries. Lirelei learned about human customs like shaking hands and giving high fives. Jake was amazed by her stories of Etheria's history and her people's incredible abilities to work with light and energy. But their friendship was not going unnoticed. Lisa Park, a human communication specialist, was reviewing security footage when she saw something strange. The alien goddess was meeting secretly with Jake Morrison. Lisa watched more footage and saw them talking and laughing together like old friends. Lisa was worried. If the Etherians found out, it could ruin the peace talks between their peoples. But she could also see that both Jake and Lirelei seemed happier than they had been before. Meanwhile, the official meetings between Captain Rodriguez and the Etherian Council were not going well. High Priestess Zara and the other leaders kept insisting that humans must worship their goddess if they wanted to be allies. We respect your beliefs, Amy said patiently. But humans do not worship other beings. We believe in treating everyone as equals. Equals? Zara looked shocked. The star goddess is divine. She is above all other creatures. Your attitude is very disrespectful. The talks grew more tense each day. Some Etherians began to think humans were too primitive and rude to be trusted. They whispered that the humans should be sent away before they corrupted their pure society. One evening, Jake was telling Lirelei about his childhood on Earth when she suddenly became quiet and sad. "What's wrong?" he asked. "I learned something today," she said. "The council wants your people to worship me or they will end the peace talks. They say humans are not worthy to be our friends." Jake felt his heart sink. "And what do you think?" "I think the council is wrong," Lirelei said firmly. "You are the kindest person I have ever met. You treat me better than anyone ever has. Even though I don't worship you?" "Especially because you do not worship me," she said. "When people worship me, they do not see me. They see only what they want me to be. But you see who I really am." Jake reached out and gently touched her hand. Her skin was warm and soft, just like a human's. "I see someone who is brave and kind and smart," he said. "I see someone who deserves to be happy and free to make her own choices." Lirelei had never felt anything like the warmth that spread through her when Jake touched her hand. It was different from the power that flowed through her body. This was something new and wonderful. "Jake," she said quietly, "I think I am starting to feel something I have never felt before. Something the priests never taught me about." "What's that?" he asked. "I think I am falling in love with you." Jake's heart began to beat faster. He had been trying not to admit it to himself, but he was falling in love with her too. But how could a human love a goddess? How could she love him back? "Lirelei, double P began Jake Morrison. The cold voice of High Priestess Zara cut through the garden like a knife. She stood at the entrance with several other priests, her face full of anger. "You dare to touch our divine goddess with your unworthy hands?" Jake quickly stepped away from Lirelei, but it was too late. High Priestess Zara had seen them holding hands. Her face was full of rage and disgust. "How dare you defile our sacred goddess with your touch?" Zara shouted. "Guards, arrest this human immediately." Several Etherian guards moved forward, but Lirelei stood up and spread her wings wide. Light poured from her body, making everyone shield their eyes. "Stop," she commanded in a voice that echoed with power. "You will not harm him." The guards froze in place. Even High Priestess Zara took a step back. No one had ever seen their goddess angry before. "Divine One," Zara said carefully, "this human has clearly corrupted your pure mind. We must cleanse you of his evil influence." "Evil?" Lirelei laughed, and the sound was like silver bells. "Jake has shown me more kindness in these few weeks than all of you have in centuries. He is the first person to treat me as more than just a symbol to worship." "But you are divine," Zara insisted. "You are above such base emotions as friendship and whatever this human has made you feel." "I am tired of being divine," Lirelei said firmly. "I want to be myself. I want to choose my own path." The news of the goddess's defiance spread quickly through the city. Some Etherians were shocked and afraid. Their whole society was built around worshiping Lirelei. What would happen if she rejected that role? But other Etherians, especially the younger ones, were curious. They had always wondered what it would be like to make their own choices instead of following ancient traditions. Dr. Rachel Kim, the human scientist, was studying Etherian biology when she made an incredible discovery. She rushed to find Captain Rodriguez with her findings. "Amy, you need to see this," Rachel said excitedly. "I've been analyzing Lirelei's DNA. She's not actually divine at all." "What do you mean?" Amy asked. The Etherians are descendants of An, ancient civilization that was very advanced in genetic engineering, Rachel explained. Lirelei and others like her were created to be superior beings, but they're still biological creatures. Their divine powers are actually the result of centuries of genetic modification. This discovery changed everything. If Lirelei was not truly a goddess, but a product of ancient science, then maybe she did have the right to choose her own life. But not everyone agreed. High Priestess Zara gathered the most traditional Etherians and declared that the humans were spreading lies to destroy their faith. The star goddess has been corrupted by these aliens, she announced. We must save her before it is too late. Meanwhile, Jake and Lirelei continued to meet in secret, though now they had to be much more careful. Their love for each other grew, stronger every day, but they both knew the dangers they faced. Maybe I should leave, Jake said one evening as they sat together in a hidden grove. I don't want to cause trouble for you and your people. No, Lirelei said firmly, taking his hand. For the first time in my life, I am truly happy. I will not let fear take that away from me. But what about your responsibilities? Your people need you? My people need to learn to take care of themselves, she said. I have been their crutch for too long. They must grow and change, just as I am changing. Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of running footsteps. Lisa Park burst into the grove, looking panicked. Jake, Lirelei, you have to get out. Of here now, she gasped. High Priestess Zara is coming with a group of extremists. They plan to perform some kind of purification ritual on Lirelei tonight. What kind of ritual? Lirelei asked, suddenly afraid. From what I could understand, they want to use an ancient device to strip away any foreign influences on your mind, Lisa explained. But Dr. Kim thinks it could damage your enhanced abilities, or even kill you. Jake felt his blood run cold. We have to get you somewhere safe. There is nowhere safe on this moon, Lirelei said sadly. They know every hiding place. Then we'll have to make a stand, Jake said. I won't let them hurt you. You cannot fight all of them, Lirelei protested. I won't have to, Jake said with determination. Not all of your people agree with Zara. Some of them believe you should have the right to choose. As if summoned by his words, a group of young Etherians emerged from the shadows. They were led by a female named Kira, who had always questioned. The old ways, star goddess, Kira said, then caught herself. I mean, Lirelei, we have come to help you. Why? Lirelei asked in surprise. Because you showed us that we can choose our own paths, Kira replied. You gave us courage to think for ourselves. Now we want to return that gift. More Etherians appeared, young and old, all united in their belief that their goddess should be free to love whom she chose. But they could hear Zara's followers approaching through the crystal corridors, chanting ancient prayers. They have the purification device, Kira warned. It is very powerful and very dangerous. Jake looked at Lirelei, seeing fear in her beautiful eyes for the first time. He made a decision that would change both their lives forever. Listen to me, he said to everyone gathered around them. We're not going to run anymore. It's time to show everyone that love is stronger than fear, and choice is more powerful than tradition. What do you mean? Lirelei asked. I mean, it's time for you to stop being what others want you to be and start being who you really are, Jake said. Not as a goddess or a symbol, but as yourself. And if they won't accept that, then we'll have to make them understand. The sound of chanting grew louder as Zara's group drew closer. The confrontation that would determine the future of Etheria was about to begin. High Priestess Zara appeared at the entrance to the grove with 20 followers carrying a strange device that hummed with dangerous energy. The purification machine looked like a crystal cage surrounded by spinning rings of light. Step away from the human, Divine One, Zara commanded. "We have come to save you from his corruption." Lirelei moved protectively in front of Jake. "I do not need to be saved. I need to be free. Freedom is an illusion," Zara replied coldly. "You were born to serve your people, not to chase after romantic fantasies with an alien." "She was not born," Dr. Rachel Kim said as she arrived with Captain Rodriguez and more humans. "She was created by advanced science. That makes her no less valuable, but it means she has the same right to choose her life as anyone else." "Lies," Zara shouted. "Activate the device." The purification machine began to glow brighter. Energy crackled between its crystal spires. Jake could feel the power radiating from it like heat from a fire. "This will remove all foreign thoughts from our goddess's mind," Zara announced. "She will return to her pure, divine state." "That device could kill her," Rachel warned. "Her enhanced biology might not survive that kind of neural disruption." "Then she will die pure rather than live corrupted," Zara said without emotion. Jake felt rage building inside him. These people claimed to love their goddess, but they would rather see her dead than happy. He stepped forward despite Lirelei's attempt to stop him. "You want to talk about corruption?" Jake said loudly. "Look at yourselves. You've turned someone who should be cherished into a prisoner. You've made worship more important than love." Silence. "Human!" Zara raised her hand to strike him, but Lirelei caught Zara's wrist before the blow could land. Her grip was gentle but unbreakable. "Enough," Lirelei said with quiet authority. "I have listened to your prayers for 1,000 years. Now you will listen to me." Light began to pour from Lirelei's body, but this time it was different. Instead of the cold, divine radiance her people were used to, it was warm and alive. Her wings spread wide, casting rainbow patterns on the crystal walls. "I renounce my divine status," she declared. "I choose to be Lirelei, not the star goddess. I choose to love whom I love and live as I wish to live." A gasp went up from both groups of Etherians. Some fell to their knees in shock, while others stood taller with hope in their eyes. "You cannot renounce what you are," Zara said desperately. "The prophecies say you will guide us forever." "Then the prophecies are wrong," Lirelei replied. "I will still help my people, but as their friend and advisor, not as their goddess. And I will do it because I choose to, not because I must." "If you will not return willingly," Zara said with tears in her eyes, "then we must force you." She signaled to her followers, who began pushing the purification device closer. The machine's energy made the air itself seem to vibrate. That's when Alex Turner, the human security chief, arrived with a group of armed Marines. But before any fighting could begin, young Kira and her followers stepped between the two groups. "Stop this madness," Kira pleaded with the traditionalists. "Look at her. Look how happy she is when she chooses for herself. Is that not what we want for someone we claim to love?" An older Etherian named Torvin, who had been one of Zara's supporters, stepped forward slowly. "The young one speaks wisdom. I have served in the temple for 60 years, and I've never seen our goddess smile until these humans came." "She smiled because she was corrupted," Zara insisted. "She smiled because she was finally treated like a person," Torvin replied. "Perhaps we have been the ones who were wrong." More traditionalists began to waver. They could see that Lirelei was not diminished. By love she was more radiant than ever. Her powers had not weakened. They had grown stronger because she was using them by choice instead of obligation. But Zara and her most extreme followers would not be swayed. "If we cannot save her," Zara said with fanatic determination, "then we must complete the purification. By force." She lunged for the device's activation crystal. The machine roared to life, sending waves of disrupting energy toward Lirelei. Jake threw himself in front of the energy beam without thinking. The force hit him like lightning, sending him flying backward into a crystal wall. He crumpled to the ground, unconscious and badly injured. "Jake!" Lirelei screamed. Rage and grief filled her heart as she knelt beside his still form. The sight of the human who had risked everything to protect their goddess shocked even Zara's followers. This alien had shown more love and devotion than any of them. Lirelei placed her hands on Jake's chest and poured her healing energy into him. Light flowed between them as she fought to save his life. In that moment, everyone could see the truth. This was not corruption or defilement. This was pure, selfless love. Jake's eyes fluttered open. "Are you okay?" He whispered weakly. Lirelei laughed through her tears. Even after being hurt trying to protect her, his first thought was for her safety. "I am perfect," she said, helping him sit up. "Because I have you." High Priestess Zara stared at the scene before her. Her goddess was crying tears of joy over an injured human. The love between them was so obvious and so pure that even she could not deny it. I do not understand," Zara said quietly. "Then, let me help you understand," Lirelei said gently. "Love does not make us weaker. It makes us stronger. Choice does not diminish us. It sets us free to become who we truly are." She stood up, still supporting Jake, and addressed all the Etherians gathered around them. "I propose a new way forward. I will continue to serve our people, but as an elected leader, not a worshipped goddess. You will follow me because you choose to, not because you must. And we will build a society where everyone has the freedom to choose their own path." The crowd was silent for a long moment. Then Torvin stepped forward and knelt not in worship, but in respect. "I choose to follow you, Lirelei," he said simply. "Not because you are divine, but because you are wise." One by one, other Etherians joined him. Even some of Zara's former followers knelt in respect rather than worship. The revolution had begun not with violence, but with understanding. 6 months later, Etheria had become a very different place. The Crystal City buzzed with new energy as Etherians learned to make their own choices and build their own futures. Lirelei still lived in the temple, but now it was her home, not her prison. The doors were always open, and people came to visit her as friends seeking advice, not as worshippers begging for miracles. She had been elected as the first advisor of Etheria in the planet's first democratic vote. High Priestess Zara, who had eventually come to understand the wisdom of change, served as her deputy and helped guide the transition from theocracy to democracy. Jake had recovered fully from his injuries and had made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. Instead of returning to Earth with the U's horizon, he chose to stay on Etheria with Lirelei. "Are you sure about this?" Captain Rodriguez had asked him before her ship departed. "Earth is your home." Jake looked across the crystal garden where Lirelei was teaching young Etherians about human culture. She laughed at something one of them said, and the sound made his heart warm. "Home isn't a place," he told Amy. "It's the people who accept you for who you are." The humans and Etherians had worked together to create a new form of communication, technology that allowed instant contact across the galaxy. Jake could talk to his family on Earth whenever he wanted, and Earth scientists could collaborate with Etherian researchers on amazing new projects. Dr. Rachel Kim had stayed for several months to study Etherian biology and had made incredible discoveries about genetic enhancement that could help both species. She promised to return soon with more scientists for joint research projects. The day of Jake and Lirelei's bonding ceremony arrived with great celebration throughout the city. It was not a religious ritual, but a simple exchange of vows between two people who loved each other. They stood together in the crystal garden, surrounded by friends from both worlds. Lirelai wore a simple white dress instead of her elaborate goddess robes. Jake wore his best human formal clothes. They both looked nervous and happy. I, Lirelai, choose you, Jake Morrison, to be my partner in all things, she said, taking his hands. You saw me when I was invisible, heard me when I was silent, and loved me when I thought I was unlovable. I, Jake Morrison, choose you, Lirelai, to be my partner in all things, he replied. You taught me that love has no boundaries, that courage means choosing your own path, and that home is wherever you are. They exchanged simple rings made from crystal and metal, symbols of their two worlds joined together. When they kissed, light danced around them like celebrating stars. The crowd cheered, humans and Etherians together. Even High Priestess Zara wiped away tears of joy. Later that evening, as the celebration continued around them, Jake and Lirelai slipped away to their favorite spot by the glowing pool where they had first met. Do you ever regret giving up your divine status? Jake asked as they sat together under the artificial stars. Never, Lirelai said firmly. Being worshipped was lonely and cold. Being loved is warm and full of life. Even though it means dealing with ordinary problems like everyone else. She laughed and leaned against his shoulder. Especially because of that. I would rather face 1,000 ordinary problems with you than live forever alone on a pedestal. Jake wrapped his arms around her. The people still look up to you, you know. You're still their leader. But now they follow me because they choose to, not because they fear to do otherwise, she said. And I lead them because I love them, not because I must. That makes all the difference. As they talked, young Etherians walked by on their way to new jobs they had chosen for themselves. Some were becoming artists, others engineers, still others explorers who wanted to visit other worlds. The rigid caste system of the old theocracy was giving way to a society where anyone could become anything. Look what we started, Jake said with wonder. What love started, Lirelai corrected. Our love showed my people that they could choose their own paths. Now they are teaching others that choice is a gift, not a burden. In the months that followed, delegations from other worlds came to study the Etherian transformation. They wanted to learn how a society could change from worship-based hierarchy to democratic cooperation without violence or chaos. Jake became an ambassador, helping to build bridges between human and alien cultures. His story with Lirelai became famous throughout the galaxy as proof that love could overcome any barrier. Lirelai established schools where young beings from many worlds could learn about different cultures and ways of life. She wanted to make sure that no one would ever again have to choose between their duty and their happiness. 1 year after their bonding ceremony, Jake and Lirelai sat in their garden, watching the sunset paint the crystal city in shades of gold and purple. Ships from a dozen worlds came and went from the spaceport, carrying students, traders, and tourists. Captain Rodriguez sent a message today, Jake said. Earth wants to establish a permanent embassy here. Wonderful, Lirelai replied. Ambassador Jake Morrison has a nice sound to it. Jake grinned. I was thinking more like Ambassador Jake Morrison and Advisor Lirelai, the team that changed the galaxy. We did not change the galaxy, she protested modestly. We just showed people that they could change themselves. As the stars appeared in the darkening sky, Jake thought about the strange path that had led him here. A simple power failure had brought him to a forbidden temple where he met a lonely goddess. Now he was married to the woman he loved, living on a world that had transformed itself through the power of choice and love. Hey, Lirelai, he said softly. Yes? Welcome home. She smiled and kissed him gently. Welcome home, my love. Above them, the stars shone down on a moon where a goddess had chosen to become a woman, where a human had found his heart among the stars, and where two very different peoples had learned that love and freedom were the greatest gifts in the universe. Their story became a legend told throughout the galaxy, but they didn't care about fame or glory. They had something much more precious. They had each other. They had a home built on love rather than worship. And they had the knowledge that they had helped their peoples find a better way to live. And in the crystal city of Etheria, where once only prayers had echoed through empty halls, now there was laughter, music, and the sound of people building a future together.